what he's up to right after this. Before we get started, don't forget to hit the like button right down there. Hit the subscribe button as well. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. And don't forget the notification bell. I hear that it helps. Hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. And stick around to the end because we're going to have something very special to talk about what's coming on later this week. So don't forget. Make sure you stay until the very end, which I'm sure you always do anyway. But
yeah, who doesn't watch an entire video?
Exactly,
Animals.
Exactly. But we have the ending of our second storyline. We had Absolute Wonder Woman. Now we got Absolute Superman. The end of his first storyline.
Was this the finale?
This was the finale.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Tell you what, when I closed this book, I was immediately ready for the next one.
Yeah.
Holy potatoes! What an issue.
Yeah. Exactly. We start out. We're on Krypton 6 years ago. If you recall, at the end of the last issue, we basically had Clark, who was afraid that his parents were just going to ship him off planet, and his mother says basically by himself, and his mother
alone
says,
in space.
"Yeah, we're going with you." Right. However, we also found out that the elite, those scummy elite,
they had actually 1%ers.
Exactly. They knew that Krypton was going to explode, and they had secretly been developing ships on their own. So
all those smug scientists lying to the people for their own good. Exactly. Science fiction, science fiction.
Sometimes it's science fact.
Yeah. So this is so well crafted a story. It's crazy. I'm loving this thing.
It really is. But we get right into there was a kind of chaos was kind of ruling at the end of the last issue. People were going crazy.
Yeah, they all found out what was happening, found out the truth of the planet, that the elite have a way out of here, and they weren't having it, Paul.
No, they were not. So there was a little bit of a scrum going on at the beginning of this issue.
Yeah, you had like the entirety of Krypton revolting, wanting answers, wanting in, just mass riots everywhere. And you had like the law enforcement branch of Krypton, which is represented by the crest of Zod, and how the symbols aren't necessarily house symbols as much as they are status symbols in this society hierarchy. And so that was cool little attention to detail that Zod, while we haven't been introduced to him as an individual person, a militaristic guy, it's still the symbol of the authority branch of Krypton's hierarchy, which is, again, the detail in here and crafting this familiar yet unpredictable Krypton is just fantastic. But we have the elves rushing through the crowd, trying to get back to their homes and stuff, and kind of expositioning, explaining what's happening with the dynamic and everything breaking down. The planet's on its last leg, and they're heartbroken that despite having prepared as good as they could, building the largest ship they could to pack in as many people as they can, there's still so many people that they're going to have to leave behind, and they're working to the very last second to ensure they can get as many as possible, even getting the little detail of talking about the neighbor down the road who we shared this dinner with, and the people in the next town over who were there for this, and how heartbreaking this really is. It isn't just a throwaway Krypton story. It made it very, very personal.
I was going to say, and that's something that I wanted to touch upon, because I mean, we've seen the explosion of Krypton a million times,
at least a million,
in different formats, in comics and movies, and in cartoons, whatever. This takes a unique take and kind of gives it to you in a way that's never been done before, and brings it down to a very personal level. For it, and you almost feel, to me, I felt worse about this Krypton exploding sometimes than I have of other Kryptons exploding, because here again you're talking about the people, like you say, the neighbor down the street, whatever, it would be like, okay, you know what, my mailman's not going to be here anymore,
it made me think of like that, that phrase, like it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. It's kind of like that, like with every other Krypton exploding story, it's just a baby who has no perception of what's happening. Right. There are no victims left alive. It's total eradication. In this, there are countless people for us to see lose everything, and they have to stare at it. Later in comics, we'd be introduced to Kara, and that's part of like her specific story arc, especially with Power Girl. These are characters who survived and witnessed and suffered great loss and have to carry that, like the whole survivor's guilt. Now we have numerous people that are about to watch their entire world and everything they know, everyone they loved, taken from them on a
Yes,
large scale.
and we get another new take on
Mhm.
Cal because before he is sent off, he's standing there and he makes a promise to make whatever world he goes to better than the one that he's leaving.
Mhm. Which
Never.
shouldn't be hard because this one sucks.
That's true. It's true. But that gives it a new wrinkle because, to your point, he was a baby. He's a baby in every other, incarnation of this.
Now he's
Um,
coming with motivation of seeing the path where certain paths take you. You know, like I've seen this tape play out, so
mhm.
I'll try harder to stop you. Like he's going to be going against forces, people, and ideas that they might not have this ultimate conclusion in their sight, but he sees it. So it's going to be an interesting character dynamic facing some certain problems down the road that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. Um, we then flash back to Earth. We see the peacekeepers trying to
Holy
do their thing.
crap. The first panel, when we
Yeah.
flash back to Earth to the Peacemaker outpost, the entire thing is covered in red mist, and it's not a small outpost.
Right.
We know from previous issues that the red mist is the dust of Krypton that makes up this mysterious cape. Even this
Right.
vantage point looking at these tanks, it's surrounded by the red mist. Superman's coming. We see guns blazing. We see tanks flying in the air into the red mist. We see the huge league of peacemakers behind the giant steel door, and it just instantly starts turning red hot, melting, and this explodes to this epic panel of a pissed off Superman standing there. Where's Christopher Smith kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's in that panel too. It's I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a peacemaker's helmet melt, but it's actually melting on his head.
Yeah, and they're screaming in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as a reminder, in the last issue, we had Christopher Smith, who wasn't given proper treatment from the Brainiac program and just thrown back out into the field with a weapon, have a psychotic episode and unload on the population there. So Superman ain't happy.
Right.
So he's
And
in here
he
just yoking people up, yelling at him, smacking them. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And they're just begging him, please don't hurt me. Please don't kill me. None of these guys know. They're not high enough up on the food chain to have any idea. But Soul in the meantime is working. His suit, Soul, with the technology in it that we don't have the details on yet, is actively working to get inside the computer programs of the station. Recognizes, identifies the Brainiac protocol, and starts working its way into it. Getting pushed back. Brainiac, we were told, is fighting back kind of thing, which is cool. So this Brainiac technology here is on par with or better than Soul, which is Kryptonian alien future technology pretty much. So they're building up Brainiac in little ways like that already. But ultimately, Soul finds where they're keeping Christopher.
Christopher Smith, right? Christopher Smith, and he tells Cal that Brainiac is in Nevada somewhere, and so that's where he's got to go.
So
But
how about
before,
this scene though? What did you think of this scene having that last issue from the perspective of all the citizens that are in these working villages, how they're talking so soft-spoken about their experience encountering this man who was like this beacon of hope and this and that, and he came in like a comment in the night in the last couple of panels in the last page or the last couple of pages of the last issue, and he was so heroic and he was so motivating, and then when the peacemakers encounter him, this was a straight horror event.
mhm. Yeah, and I think I think that Cal is kind of equating the peacekeepers to the elites from Krypton, and
I didn't, yeah, taking
you
it
know
out on them
exactly, and
because this is a hierarchy thing. You
right,
have the Lazarus Corp and their Zods,
right,
and these are the poor farmers farming for minerals for them. It's literally I
exactly,
didn't even notice that. It's literally the same hierarchy.
yep, exactly.
Oh man, these guys are screwed. Oh man.
But speaking going back to Krypton, let's go back to Krypton and the Redlands quickly, because that's kind of where we go next. Um, and we also in these pages we find out exactly. Oh, actually, no, I think it's a little bit later. We find out exactly why the planet is exploding.
Yeah, well,
Um,
first off, we see that everyone getting on board the ship is
right,
getting a soul. the
Right.
SOL, the suits. There's a suit for everybody. This technology is just like liquid energy suit kind of thing that just form fits around you and everything. But while everyone's doing this, loading up, Cal's outside talking to Crypto, saying goodbye and everything, and the ground cracks under him and he falls. Seemingly to his death, but he's saved by none other than Crypto, whose cape
Mhm.
pops out right on time to hold Crypto on the ledge. The cape like going the other direction and grabs little Cal. I'm like, dude, this dog is so cool.
Crypto's always there to save the day. Just ask
Yeah,
James
dude,
Gunn.
it's so cool.
Um, we go to Kandor after that, and we see the more of this green mist that's coming up out of the ground. Again, it's kind of the fissures. It's the core of the planet that's kind of coming to the center. Coming up from the center of the planet.
Yeah, these
Uh,
crappy science elite screaming at the people to go back to their homes by order of the science council, commanding the officers to kill them if need be. Like it's absolutely crazy.
Right. We flash back to the ship. We go back in the ship now, and we see Clark kind of consoling someone, a little boy. Is it a boy or a girl? Can't tell.
It's a little girl. She's
It's
got
a
a
little
hair
girl.
bonnet.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yep. And him basically saying, everything's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. My mom and dad built this ship.
Yeah, he gives this little kid the Trump speech.
Right.
Like I can't help but read it like it's a meme now. He's like, "Don't be scared. This is a great ship. It's the best ship that's ever flown."
Exactly.
And my brain immediately starts
Right.
laughing, like, "Yo, dude,
Right. No one has ever seen a ship like this.
man, everyone's saying it. It's the greatest ship."
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's gonna be huge.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
um, but we still see. I mean, but even though they're in the ship, they're still horrified at what's going on outside the ship. Everything that's going on out there,
yeah,
because his
the
parents are
ground's
still out there.
breaking up. Yeah, everything's crumbling. And in the city, the people revolted so hard that not a single ship from the Science Council made it off the ground.
Right.
Not a single survivor from Candor.
Right. So, and that's, I mean, they basically, went from, Krypton, which was
Preserving.
supposedly this, utopian society, to basically killing each other before their planet blows up.
And
But
from main continuity to this, we go from preserving Candor. Like it's what remains thanks to Brainiac, and here is just ultimate destruction.
right, right, and then we find out exactly, why the planet blew up. We basically are told that over the years, these parasites have basically gotten into the planet, and they have made the planet core unstable, and that's basically what is causing all of this. So there are these giant parasites that have somehow bored into the planet, um, and we get that classic Krypton exploding page.
Well, we get a
Uh,
little bit before that. We get the big
right,
ship taking off. The great ship that his mom and dad built takes a chunk of planet right to the side of it and shatters it, throwing all these people that they fought so hard to save into the air. And this is where things get a little bit familiar, but still very different. The ship carrying everyone gets shattered, but
hmm
because they're all rocking this Kryptonian technology, the suits take over and the technology takes over and it forms ships around them. These aren't just like ships like we have. They're very malleable. How would you say it?
yeah,
Malleable?
malleable. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So like when the big ship went, it took off to go surround the individual people into smaller ships. So now they're in pods. Crypto's in his own. He was
Right.
falling with himself. Cal's in his own. Lara and Jor are in one together. So now they're separate, leaving the planet. So
Right.
they're all off planet now, but they're not together anymore.
Right. So Saul has the ability to kind of form a ship around each person.
Mhm.
That part of his um,
Something new.
computing, or whatever you want to say it, as well. Yeah, that, which is brand new, which says that even now that he's on Earth, he has the ability, you would think, to create a ship around him if he wanted to. But yeah, we get that classic. Then we get the classic explosion of Krypton. Um, Double page spread. Um, and then Clark kind of realizes that he's all by himself. He's calling out for his mother and his father, and then basically says, "Can anyone hear me?" And there's no answer. And then we flash back to Earth, and we see Clark is now there. We see him finally. This is the first time we actually have seen the full cape.
Oh, it
Um,
looks so damn good too, and it
yeah,
wasn't even a big page splash.
yeah. It was basically a bottom panel, but it's the first time we've seen the big cape
Just
right
a
there.
body shot rocking the cape.
Right,
The
which you
Kryptonian
pointed out
duck
before
suit.
we went on that kind of mirrors the issue number one um,
Yeah,
cover.
yeah. Now I do want to go back for 1 second
Okay.
to the cause of the destruction of Krypton. Now,
Hmm.
the parasites they're referring to were the humans of Krypton,
Hmm.
right? It wasn't like it's not an individual life form. We don't know if it's just this planet that's been around for billions of years. When humans got here, they managed to destroy it all in their
Hmm.
short time on here.
Yeah.
Right? Was an actual parasites.
Um, I don't know. I guess I would need to read that again.
Yeah, it says
Um,
for 10 billion years, the planet Krypton basked in the blistering red light of its sun. Toward the end of its existence, the planet had become riddled with parasites, tiny creatures infested Krypton's star hardened skin, eviscerating the world one handful of guts at a time until its insides became unstable. 10 billion years my homeworld stubbornly endured. It only took a few measly million for people to ruin it all. So he likens people to parasites, and that
yeah.
kind of calls back to how he treated the peacemakers.
Hmm.
Like he's like,
Yeah.
yo,
Yeah. Good point.
y'all
Yeah.
are mining this planet
Right.
and treating people like trash. You're
Mhm.
parasites. He literally sees them as parasites.
Yeah, exactly. And in it's funny because that kind of leads into the very end of the story because he's talking to himself in a lot of ways, where he says he's afraid, not necessarily of himself, but of what he might do to people.
Yeah, he says, "Forget Smith. At this point, if I get my hands on him, it's
Yeah,
something I don't want to do.
right.
I need to go somewhere I get a reminder. Reminder of what? A reminder of home."
Right. And we see him in the very last full page, him leading to Smallville, Kansas, where we still have that question of is that his mother in the nursing home? So
Well,
his
what does
belief.
ad astra per aspera mean?
Hold on a second. It's Latin for something. I know that.
I think it's worth us checking out on the Smallville sign. We got some Latin on there.
Through hardships to the stars.
Oh my goodness. So maybe obviously that ties Kansas in with something. Like I'm thinking Smallville. Like give me 3 seasons of Meteor Freaks. But
Pick of
but
the
the
week.
fact that they have that on the sign implies something with the stars and this small town thing. Unless we get to Smallville and it's a bustling city,
Mm,
but
yeah.
we know that M. Kent, mysterious woman in this, is now in this city that has this through hardship through the stars
Right.
written on their city limit sign. So
Right.
clues. We got clues.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Dude, this
Cannot
would be
wait.
an amazing issue.
It really is.
The whole formatting of this first story arc has been great. We had like the slow intro that kind of built him up. We had like the soft touch of the last issue. We had like the deep look into Krypton with issue 2 or 3, whatever it was. And then this one just full on sprinting, getting
Mhm.
like key like character development, getting key story development, slapping you in the face, and the stuff you pointed out, like with like like connecting
Mhm.
the modern day story directly just paralleling the Krypton. Like, dude, this is legit good.
Yeah. And think about, I mean, in the first, we've had Lois, we've had Jimmy, we've had Brainiac, um, the
Peacemaker,
Peacemakers. The one thing we have not heard hide
right?
nor hair of Luther yet.
No,
So kind of like what they're doing over in Batman, where they just briefly mention the Joker and then they basically have forgotten about him for the couple issues, and they're gonna get back to him later. So
I
um,
like that though. I like that.
yeah, exactly. You don't want to jump in and go to your eight. You got time to build everything, and they're still selling 100,000 copies of issues. They're going
Especially in the
to.
main continuity when those characters are like spotlighted so heavily right now, specifically in storylines and stuff. It's great that we're like, I don't know how much planning, but DC editorial has been on fuego.
Mhm.
And especially since we hit this all-in era, like it's a level of editorial I haven't seen since before Infinite Crisis in the early 2000s. But it's
Yep.
so much. is going in and putting all this together.
And they just announced this past week they're doing an additional printing of Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman. Another printing. It's going to be Dan Mora, 3 connecting covers.
Oh, gonna have to get those.
Mm. So I think it's the 6th printing, I believe, of Batman.
That's the
So
number one selling comic of this year, last
2024,
year,
yep, absolutely.
2024.
But next week when we're here, we'll be talking about a brand new Absolute comic, as well as the end of the first story arc of Absolute Batman. But we got Absolute Flash comes out this week, so don't you dare miss that. But before we even get to next week, just want to remind everybody that on this Thursday at 8:30, right here
Boom.
on this here channel, we'll be talking to Jeremy Adams. It'll be his 3rd time on our channel. Again, it's this Thursday, March 20th at 8:30. We got some things we'll be giving away as well. So tell everybody you know to come and hang out. So exactly. Yeah, we'll be talking Green Lantern and Aquaman and Green Lantern Corps and a newly minted DC Comics exclusive. So I'm sure they've got big plans for him. So I
What a
think
big
he's
week.
exactly. But that's going to be it for this edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. I am Paul. He is Mark,
But we are Legion.
and you're now leaving Sector 2815.